Welcome to Game and Grains, the whiskey gaming channel. I'm your player one, Richard. Well, I finally found it. After scouring stores and harassing countless liquor store employees, I finally got my hands on this Jack Daniel's Distillery Series Selection 16. This is Jack Daniel's Tennessee Rye finished in table syrup barrels. Just thinking about it is already making my mouth salivate. So I've waited this long, I'm not waiting any longer. So you know what to do. Grab those controllers, pour yourself a dram, and let's get into it. Here in Tennessee, it's not uncommon to walk into just about any liquor store and see one or two of Jack Daniel's Distillery Series selections sitting on the shelf. And those are bottles that I typically ignored, up until I heard about this one. This is selection number 15, their sweet mash Tennessee whiskey, straight Tennessee whiskey. There was lots of just chatter about this on social media, and so I figured I would pick up a bottle. Well, this is actually bottle number 2 of this particular selection. I enjoy it because it has some familiarity of the Jack Daniel's flavor, but just enough differences to set it apart from their standard offerings. So once I heard that Selection 16 was coming out, which is this table syrup finished rye, I knew that I had to get it. Now the announcement was made in early December, and so I immediately went on the hunt, trying to see if this was available in my area. Now, of course, Jack Daniel's usually does a run in their tasting room prior to sending it out to their distributors. So you can imagine my surprise when I was filming a hunt video and this guy was sitting on the shelf. I had a conversation with the manager and he said it had just arrived that morning, and so of course I had to grab a bottle. Now, I went ahead and gave myself a little bit of a pour. This is a fresh crack. We're going to let this sit open for a minute while I tell you a little bit about this bottle. Now, this comes in at a proof point of 111.4. It is, as I mentioned before, selection number 16 and is a 375 milliliter container. So smaller than the standard offering, but now on the back, it's got a little description here. Tennessee Rye Whiskey aged in white oak barrels and finished in Jack Daniel barrels used for maturing a Southern-style table syrup. It goes on to say, a reunion that marries the sweet and savory taste of table syrup with our complex rye spice. Each sip coats the palate in salted caramel notes with a smooth molasses finish. Now, both of these bottles were $45.99, $44.99 rounds about. So you get less liquid, but you get something unique and special from Jack Daniel's. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive right into the bottle or the glass. So right on the nose, I'm getting what I would typically get out of a traditional Jack Daniel's rye. I enjoy the ryes, especially store picks, higher proof ones, chef's kiss. But I'm getting the pecan on the nose, which I would typically get out of most Jack Daniel's. There's a faint hint of that table syrup, that sweetness that you would expect. The molasses, the maple nose, and then of course just a little bit of that rye. But really what I'm getting is that pecan, the sweetness, and the hint of that spicy rye. So in on the taste, cheers. Okay, so almost the opposite of the nose. Now, as it says on the description, it does coat the palate, but it leads with that table syrup. You get the sweetness that is there first. It is obviously reminiscent of a maple syrup that you would put on pancakes or what have you. I do get some of that pecan, just the subtle hint of that rye as it's sitting on the tongue. So that was actually quite an interesting experience, how it evolves as it starts to just, sit on the tongue and start to dissipate. Let's get in on it again. Cheers. So that sip was slightly different. Not so much of the table syrup for me. I'm getting more of those pecan notes that I had described to you before, what I traditionally get with a Jack Daniel's. There is that sweetness there. It's a bit drying on the tongue. I've described some things as like usually a double oak or a secondary cask kind of dries my tongue or in the mid palate, and that's what I'm getting here. But that one leads more with that pecan flavor before it turns into just a brief sweetness. I wonder if the nose is different now that we've had some on the palate. So I am getting a slight sweeter nose than I did initially, but that one also still leads with the pecan. One more, just for giggles. That was kind of middle of the road from the previous two tastes. I feel like there was a well-rounded balance between that table syrup and the pecan note that is there. I'm not really getting a whole lot of rye spice. That definitely takes a back seat. Really what you are getting is a lot of the I guess it would be the wood tannins that are influenced, so the pecan and that table syrup. It definitely gives me vibes of almost like having like an oat pancake. I don't know if you ever had oat pancakes before, with table syrup that is drizzled on there. So there's definitely a sweetness there, but it's not something that is just like in your face. So I'm interested to see what this will taste like when I revisit. This is the first pour of the day. And of course, we all know that your palate changes based on what you eat and stuff like that. So, but all around, if you can get your hands on this, definitely would recommend that you try it. I believe I mentioned that it's like right around $45 for the bottle, 375 milliliters. So, all right, guys. Well, I certainly appreciate you sticking until the end. If you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We're steadily growing. My next goal for this channel is to try to get 250 subscribers. Be sure that you check out not only these videos, but also some of my bourbon hunt videos. It's always fun to see what other people have in their area, what's on their shelves that maybe we don't have. Be sure that you like this video. That just helps kind of spread awareness about the content that I put out. And then down in the comments below, share with me, have you ever tried any of Jack Daniel's Distillery Series selections? If so, what one is your favorite? I've only had these two, so maybe there's some stuff that I can find on shelves in other stores that I need to be seeking out. So leave that information down below. I certainly appreciate you sticking until the end. I'm your favorite player one, Richard. Have a good one.